Welcome back to our English Master Series. I am Joseph, and I really hope you've realized by now that English is literally a matter of life and death, not just a hobby.
Uh-huh. High stakes as always. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Isabella, and today we are tackling a massive confusion. We are diving into must, have to, and should.
Indeed. Because, people use should when they actually have a strict obligation. It's a tragedy. Let's set them straight today.
It really is a tragedy.
It-
Think about it like sitting at a massive, complex mixing board in a recording studio. But instead of adjusting, like, the bass or the treble, you are mixing social cues.
Right. You have these tiny, incredibly sensitive volume knobs right under your fingertips.
Yeah.
And if you turn the wrong knob just a fraction of an inch, suddenly a friendly suggestion morphs into this really aggressive demand.
Exactly. Or, going the other way, what you meant to be a strict legal rule accidentally comes out sounding like a matter of simple personal choice.
Which is dangerous.
Super dangerous. And what's endlessly fascinating to me is that native English speakers adjust those knobs constantly. Like they do it on autopilot thousands of times a day.
Yeah, without ever stopping to look at the labels on the console. So today, we are welcoming you, the listener, to our deep dive into exactly how that linguistic mixing board works.
We really are untangling a massive web of confusion. Grammarians call these tiny helper verbs modal verbs, but I like to think of them as the unsung heroes of our daily communication.
Or the hidden traps. To help us label these knobs, we've brought in a stack of expert sources today. We're pulling from Cambridge Grammar alongside some really practical ESL training materials from VOA Learning English, ES Dubai, LibreTexts, and LSI.
The mission here is to give you a shortcut to mastering these crucial cues, because the core action stays exactly the same. Let's take the action of, say, leaving the house.
Okay, leaving the house.
The modal verb you attach dictates everything about the reality. Like, are you leaving because you want to? Because someone told you it's a good idea? Because it's a legal requirement?
Or because you are going to be in serious trouble if you don't. All of that context is carried by just one tiny word.
Exactly. So if we're going to learn how to operate this mixing board, we should probably start with the two knobs that look completely identical on the surface.
Right, we need to pit positive must up against positive have to. On paper, both of these words express a requirement, right?
They do. They both signal that there is an obligation. But when we dig into the textbook definitions, their origins, like the actual source of the pressure, are completely different.
I have to explain this one because it is so important. Must is deeply personal. It historically indicates an internal obligation, like, I feel I need to do this.
Right. A strong personal feeling or a sudden decision.
Yes. The ES Dubai source gives a great example. I must call my parents today. No one is standing over you, forcing you with a legal document.
The pressure is coming from inside the house.
Exactly. It's your own standard or just a sudden realization of guilt driving the action.
But have to, on the other hand, is totally situational. It represents an external obligation. The pressure is coming from outside of you.
Like a boss or a rule.
Exactly. It's a fixed schedule or a directive. For instance, I have to finish my homework by 8 p.m. because the teacher said so. You aren't doing it out of a burning personal passion.
No, you're doing it because an external force requires compliance. But wait, I have to argue a point here. In real life, everyone just says have to for basically everything, right?
That is so true. Have to really dominates everyday conversation.
Because honestly, must sounds like you just stepped out of a 19th century novel. If I'm walking around the office saying I must go to the grocery store, I sound ridiculous.
You'd sound incredibly pretentious. The VOA Learning English source actually notes this. For everyday meanings, spoken American English almost universally defaults to have to.
But I will defend must in one specific arena. Think about formal written rules.
Oh, written rules are a whole different ballgame.
Right. If you look at a sign at the airport that says, passengers must present their tickets, that doesn't sound like a warm internal feeling.
Not at all.
It sounds like a strict, external, non-negotiable rule. So, in formal context, must totally takes over as the unquestionable voice of authority.
It does. When an institution isn't negotiating with you, they use must on the sign. But the second we transition back to spoken English, have to is the undisputed king.
And there's a grammatical reason for that too, right?
Yeah, it's a great tool for the listener to know. Must is a true modal verb, which means it's super rigid. It's like a fossilized word. You cannot add an es or an ing to it.
You can't say musting.
No. And most crucially, it has no past tense and no future tense.
Yeah.
You could say, yesterday I musted go to the bank.
Wow, yeah, that sounds completely broken.
It's nonsense. So have to naturally takes over because it's flexible. You just say had to for the past or will have to for the future.
Okay, so to synthesize, both mean you are required to do something. Formal written sign, use must. Normal conversation, just use have to.
Perfect foundation.
So logically, if I reverse engineer this, if positive must and have to mean the same thing, then the negative forms must mean the same thing too, right? I can just say must not and don't have to interchangeably.
Stop right there. Do not touch that
I
dial.
knew it!
What you just described is the most logical assumption a learner could make, and it is entirely dangerously wrong.
This is the absolute biggest trap in the English language. Let's get into the negative trap. Mustn't versus don't have to. This is a must debate topic.
It really is. In the negative form, these two verbs completely divorce each other. They create entirely different realities.
I have to scream this so people remember. Must not or mustn't means it is strictly forbidden. Do not do it. You have zero choice.
It is a zero-tolerance prohibition. The action is banned.
Like, visitors must not feed the animals at the zoo. You don't have an option there.
Exactly. But don't have to means something completely different. It represents a total lack of obligation. It means you have a choice.
So it's not necessary, but you are totally free to do it if you want to.
Right. Like, you don't have to provide your name on this survey. You could stay anonymous, but if you really want to sign it, go ahead.
Okay, think about the absolute chaos if you accidentally swap these. The sources have some hilarious, borderline disastrous examples.
Oh, the LSI source example is incredible.
Yes. Imagine walking into a very nice restaurant and the host says, you don't have to smoke in the restaurant.
The implication there is just wild.
It implies, hey, we aren't going to force you to smoke a cigarette with your salad, but if the mood strikes, light up right here at the table.
When obviously the host needed to convey a strict legal prohibition, you must not smoke.
Or sign in a park saying, you don't have to throw trash on the ground, meaning we don't force you to litter, but go for it if you want.
It completely undermines the concept of a rule. And professionally, it's even worse. Imagine telling a junior employee, you don't have to attend the confidential strategy meeting.
They hear it's optional and show up anyway to show initiative.
Exactly. And suddenly you have a massive security breach.
Yeah.
You should have said, you must not attend. One phrase creates an option, the other establishes a hard boundary.
Such a staggering difference. But I do want to point out, because we're talking about real life here, Americans rarely actually say the word mustn't.
Oh, absolutely. I totally insist on this point. In spoken American English, mustn't carries a lot of cultural baggage. It sounds very aristocratic or distinctly British.
Right. An American bartender is never going to say, you mustn't smoke in here.
Never. They will almost always swap it out for can't. They'll say, you can't smoke in here. The meaning is identical. It's still a strict prohibition. But can't feels way more natural when actually talking.
Okay, so we've got the heavy hitters down, strict obligations and strict prohibitions. But what happens when we want to turn the volume way, way down?
Right. What if you just want to give a friend some genuinely good advice without sounding like a dictator handing down a decree?
Enter our third modal verb, should. I love should. It's the realm of the friendly suggestion.
It functions exactly like a safety net. It completely removes the weight of obligation. You're just offering a recommendation or politely sharing your perspective.
The ES Dubai source has a great everyday example. You should try shawarma from that corner shop.
Right. You aren't forcing your friend to eat the shawarma. You won't call the police if they don't.
You're just saying, in my opinion, doing this is a good idea.
And shouldn't just mean something is a bad idea. Like, you shouldn't stay up until 3 a.m. before a test. It's not a law. It's just sound advice.
Okay, but let me counter that and throw a wrench into this nice framework. Because if I really, really love a restaurant like I had the most delicious fish of my life, I wouldn't just use should.
Oh, what would you use?
I would grab my friend by the shoulders and say, you must try this amazing fish. Am I accidentally being a dictator there?
I love that you brought this up because you have just organically stumbled into a beautiful exception from the LSI source. They call it the strong recommendation.
A strong recommendation. It feels so passionate.
It perfectly illustrates how human emotion overrides strict grammar. Yes, technically must means strict obligation. But in social situations, when talking about something incredibly enjoyable, like delicious fish using must, is a sign of overwhelming enthusiasm.
So I'm not giving a military command.
No, not at all. It's a linguistic tool for social bonding. The shared enjoyment completely neutralizes the authority of the word.
That just proves that context is absolutely everything. You have to read the room. Cold, legal document. Must is a rule. A great dinner party. Must is just loving advice.
Exactly. Language is a deeply social tool, not just a math equation.
Speaking of context-changing meaning, let's pivot to one final, really surprising use of the word must. And this has nothing to do with rules, advice, or delicious fish.
This is where we get to put on our detective hats.
Grab your magnifying glass. We are investigating a mystery.
In grammatical terms, this is called making a deduction. You use the visible evidence in front of you to draw a highly logical conclusion. And strangely enough, we use must for that.
Okay, walk me through how that actually works.
Let's set the scene. You go to a restaurant with a friend who is notoriously a very light eater. But today, they sit down and immediately order an entire extra-large pizza for themselves.
Okay, that's weird.
Right. You wouldn't look at them and say, you should be hungry, as if you're giving their stomach advice.
Aha! No.
And you wouldn't say, you have to be hungry like there's a law. Instead, you look at the evidence and you deduce, wow, you must be hungry.
So it means, based on the undeniable evidence of this giant pizza, the only logical conclusion I can draw is that you are starving.
Exactly. It's about assessing probability with a high degree of certainty.
It really is just like being a detective. Like, say I plan to meet a coworker at a coffee shop at 5 p.m. It's 5:30, they aren't answering their phone, they are nowhere to be seen.
Right. You look at the clues.
I look at my watch, I look at the empty chair, my brain does the math. I say, she must be stuck in traffic. Or she must have forgotten our meeting.
You aren't placing a magical obligation on her to be stuck in traffic. You're just solving the mystery.
It's such an aha moment. Must does so much heavy lifting in English. But wait, there is a funny bonus quirk from the VOA source about Americans using must.
Oh, yes, because we established earlier that Americans rarely use must in daily conversation.
Right, they prefer have to. So if I ask about your schedule, I say, do you have to go to work today? Not, must you go to work today? That sounds super stiff.
Unless you are deeply annoyed.
Yes, the grammar of annoyance.
When Americans use must in the beginning of a question, it is almost always a rhetorical question dripping with sarcasm and judgment.
Like when someone is eating chips in a quiet room and you just snap, must you chew so loud?
Or someone drops muddy boots in the kitchen. Must you always leave your shoes right in the middle of the hallway?
You aren't asking for a list of obligations. You are aggressively telling them to stop being annoying.
It's a very sharp volume knob on our mixing board.
Yeah.
And a useful one, so you don't accidentally ask an innocent coworker about their schedule and sound furiously angry.
Okay, wow. We have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. Let's do a quick wrap-up, a synthesis of this brand new modal verb toolkit.
Let's review the settings.
For your daily, everyday, mundane obligations, keep it simple. Just use have to, like I have to buy groceries.
For strict zero-tolerance rules, use must not. Or if you're speaking casually in America, use can't, like you can't park in front of the fire hydrant.
When you want to give someone a choice, let them know an action isn't required. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to stay for the whole meeting.
For friendly, helpful advice without pressure, use should. Like, you should get some sleep.
Unless that recommendation is for a truly incredible dessert or an amazing movie, in which case, bust out the must to show your enthusiasm.
That is a perfect cheat sheet. But before we go, I want to leave you, the listener, with a final, slightly provocative thought.
Lay it on us.
Consider how power dynamics are entirely shaped by these tiny verbs. They are the invisible architecture of control and respect in our relationships.
Oh, that's deep. Give me a concrete example.
Think about a workplace. When a manager shifts from saying, you must complete this workflow, to you should complete this workflow, they are subtly shifting the entire culture.
They're moving from authoritarian compliance to autonomy and trust.
Exactly. Or think about a parent negotiating with a teenager. Shifting from, you have to go to this family event, to, you don't have to go, but we'd love it if you did.
They are literally handing over the controls of the mixing board.
They are. Every single time we choose between must, have to, and should, we are actively negotiating autonomy and control with the person we're talking to.
So your challenge this week: pay close attention to the modal verbs people use around you. Notice the volume knobs your boss, your partner, or even you are turning. It might just reveal who really thinks they are in charge.
It becomes a fascinating social experiment once you start listening for it. And hey, that's episode 7 in the bag. If you missed our previous battles on to and enough or say and tell, go back and watch the series playlist.
Yes, you must watch them. It's not a suggestion, it's for your own good. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Keep learning, keep listening, and see you in the next one.